Yeah, we're live now.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's hearing. My name is Councillor Anand, and I shall be chairing the meeting today. My colleagues, Councillor Kelly and Councillor Sumner, and I will form of today's subcommittee. Misha Jihal will be the clerk of the subcommittee and will be minuting the meeting. Hattie Sahib is the legal advisor to the subcommittee, and Ranjan Palmer, the senior legal processing team leader, will now introduce the report. We'll introduce the report later. With regards to the procedure, I will explain the procedure of the hearing today. The licensing officer will introduce the report and provide a clarification of factual issues. The applicant thereafter will present the application and will call for any witnesses in respect of who the permission is being given. Those that are relevant representations will then present their case, and then there'll be a summary at the end. I would like to now ask those that are present in the meeting to introduce themselves, please, and who will be speaking. So would the other people in the meeting, would you please introduce yourselves now, please?
Perhaps from the applicant team first. Applicant team.
Good morning. I'm Sally Hills from Hills Licensing, representing Sunny Dua, who is the applicant for the license today.
Hi, myself, I'm Sunny Dua. I am applying for a premise license for Budgens franchise in Actonville.
Mr. Patel, do you have your mic? Is it working, or are you just going to be watching? Okay, so Mr. Patel, your mics, you're not able to respond, is that right? Okay. Well, for the record, we can't hear you. Thank you. Okay, so now I will proceed to the licensing officer, who will now introduce the report.
Sure. The application is made by K&K Dual Limited for a premises license in relation to Budgens, 143 to 147 The Vale in Acton, W3 7RH. 3 representations have been received. These are as follows. The first one is from Mr. Pratap Pakir Raja of Local Wine, 133 The Vale, Acton, W3 7RQ. The second one is Mr. Faryad Omar Mohammed of Baghdad Market of 149 The Vale, Acton, W3 7RH. The third one is Mr. Jay Prakash Patel of Acton Vale Post Office, 125 to 127 The Vale, Acton, W3 7RH. The licensable activities and their hours applied for are the retail sale of alcohol Monday to Saturday from 07 to 00 hours to 23:00 hours, and Sunday from 08:00 hours to 22:30 hours, and off sales only. The opening hours will be Monday to Saturday 07:00 hours to 23:00, and Sunday 08:00 hours to 22:30 hours.
Thank you.
That's it.
Now, I would like the applicant to present their case, please.
Thank you. Mr. Dua's application is made in his company's name, and the applicant will be running a franchise on behalf of Budgens, and it's expected that he would offer the full complement of products which Budgens offer, which includes intoxicating liquor. The application originally sought slightly longer hours than the licensing officer told us just there, but following agreement with the police licensing officer and also discussions with the licensing officer at the council, they were amended, which are the hours which Ms. Palmer has confirmed. So this is now in line with Ealing's core policy, apart from maybe I think the hours in the morning are slightly earlier than you would normally have. So because we had initially objections from the police who wanted us to make sure that certain conditions were proposed to keep in line with what apparently is a problem with antisocial drinking in that area. Hopefully the committee has seen the conditions that have been agreed with police now, which should have been in your amended pack yesterday. Do you need me to read through those, or?
No, I think if everybody's is in the agenda pack, then that's fine.
Okay, lovely. The police also noted from Mr. Dua that he would prefer a slightly higher alcohol content. It was normally 5%, but he requested 5.5%, and the licensing officer was agreeable to that. Excuse me. We also discussed at length about the single cans of beer and no sales of spirits and miniatures, and that's all been agreed. So that sort of concludes the application, really. The objections that we've received are in relation to antisocial behaviour and the protection of children from harm, but we are hoping that these conditions that have been agreed with the police will confirm to those objectors that there shouldn't be any ongoing issues. I did write to the objectors a couple of weeks ago to explain what we had agreed and everything, but we haven't heard anything back from any of them, and I believe the licensing office has also tried to contact the objectors, but we've not had any response. So I wasn't actually sure whether they were even attending today, but I understand the postmaster is actually here, so maybe he can say whether he received my letter. But that does conclude the application. I don't know if you want to speak to Mr. Dua as well in relation to the application.
Maybe we'll come to that if there's any, when the my colleagues have any questions, they'll come to that. I may just ask one question. I mean, has Mr. Dua actually had a similar premises in the past, his experience?
He does have licensed premises already in the Vale. Mr. Dua, would you like to confirm?
Sure. So I own a restaurant / takeaway on the Vale itself. So let's see, it's 10 doors away from the new premises I would like to take. It's number 173, the Vale. It's called Rango's Peri Peri. I own that for about 2.5 years. In terms of my previous experiences, I've studied hospitality from Oxford Brookes University. I've done masters as well in the same. I've got about 15 years of working experience in bars, in running bars and high-end restaurants and nightclubs in City of Westminster Council, namely Mayfair Hotel, Shangri-La Hotel at the Shard. Obviously not in terms of pretty much experience in terms of retail of alcohol in terms of retail premises side of it. However, I have been involved in terms of dealing with bars and restaurants and where sale of alcohol is involved, and I am pretty much confident in terms of all the licensing objectives which are there in the premises license.
Thank you, Mr. Dua. That's very helpful. Councillor Kelly, do you have any questions?
No, thank you.
Councillor Sumner, do you have any questions?
No, thank you, Chair, not at this time.
Do any of the objectors have any questions?
I would like to ask that do we really need another off license in the area?
So this is questions to the applicant, Mr. Jack.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Do you want me to answer that?
I can answer it. Sorry. Oh, sorry.
Hattie, is that relevant to the application? Hatun?
Chair, if it's a question that the applicant's representative wants to answer, then I don't see any reason why she can't answer it. That's absolutely fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you, sir. Unfortunately, regarding whether or not there's already enough off licenses in the area isn't something that's taken into account when considering an application for a new license. Any objections have to be based on the licensing objectives as opposed to need and demand. So whether or not there's already enough off licenses in the area isn't something that the committee can take into account.
thank you.
Okay, so-
Thank you.
Can I speak?
Sorry, yes, carry on. What do you?
What my main concern is already in the parade, the businesses are hardly to survive in the current market. And at the same time, I think the licensing authority should look at favorably whether we need a post office in the area or we need another off license. Not because it's my business. This business has been there for the last 45 years. And I can assure you that if another business opens up and the outside retail sales goes down, it would be very, very difficult to keep this office open. And I think your licensing authority in Ealing should be aware totally that how many offices have closed in this area. Even Acton King Street, the biggest branch office, closed down. It's going to be very, very difficult. It's up to you. The decision is yours. But you have to look at it favorably. What does the community need? It? Another off license or another post office? And I'll leave my case to you now.
Ms. Hills, do you have anything to say on that?
Well, I believe that the post office is serving the community for postal services. Budgens will not have a post office in it. It's a supermarket. It's a convenience store. So the fact that you sell alcohol as well is not relevant to my client's application because you're the post office. Your business shouldn't be impacted by a supermarket because surely people are coming for postal services.
But at the same time, if you look at the post office, it has got a convenience store. And yet, when you go to the post office meeting, it has been made very clearly that the post office will only work with the retail shops at the moment. It is very, very difficult for a post office to survive on its own. And this is the main reason why the offices are getting closed right, left, and center. This is what the community, you have to decide yourself what the community wants.
I appreciate that.
If both the businesses survive, the retail and the post office, you can keep both of them going. If the retail sales goes down, you won't be able to keep the post office going. That's a fact. Then
I
it's
appreciate your concern, sir, but that's not something that the licensing committee can.
That is fine. What my concern at the moment is which is favorable to the community, the post office or another off license. The decision should be the licensing authority. That's it.
The licensing authority can only consider objections based on crime and disorder, public safety, public nuisance, and the protection of children from harm, and none of that is relevant to what you're saying.
Okay.
That's up to the council to decide.
Mr. Patel,
Chair, it might be
understood your objection. Other than there not being another license premises, do you have any other questions? Because if there are there any other objections that you have?
Yeah, underage drinking and a lot of kids around, and then the alcohol behavior outside has been very bad in the past years when I've been running the business. So this is something that you should consider yourselves.
Ms. Hills, do you have anything to comment on that?
No, I believe that the conditions that have been agreed with the police more than cover these issues that are ongoing. And I think all of the off licenses in the parade where Mr. Dewar will hopefully have his premises license, none of those have the kind of conditions that Mr. Dewar will have because they are historical off licenses. So this license is going to have very much more tighter conditions, which will mean it's much more strictly controlled than the existing off licenses that the three objectors run.
Thank you. The hearing to the Now, is there any objectors that want to speak? And please, can I remind the objectors that please don't say anything which is already in the agenda pack or what's already been discussed. So if there's anything else that you wish to say, please go ahead now. Mr. Jack?
No, I'm fine. I think I've made my point very clear. Now it's
Okay,
up to you
thank
to
you.
decide. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you. So, Ms. Hills, Ms. Hills, would you like to sum up now?
Yes, thank you. So the simple fact is this application for the Budgens is, like I said, the entire offer which Budgen has includes the sale of alcohol. We've had extensive discussions with the police to ensure that the licence will not impact on the already issues that they have with antisocial behaviour and street drinking. The conditions, as I've said, are quite extensive, including the no sale of single cans and no sales of spirits. And as I said just now, this licence, if granted, will be much tighter than existing licences in the area. So we're sure that there shouldn't be any additional impact on crime and disorder in the area.
Thank you. Response, the licensing officer or the objectors, do you have anything to say to sum up? Councillor Kelly.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, just in response to Mr. Jack, Mr. Patel, and he refers to the licensing authority protecting the community, and he's quite right. That's what we do. However, we have a framework, and the framework is the Licensing Act of 2003 or 2005, and we are a licensing subcommittee, and we have to look at licensing objectives. And the applicant has put forward a case that meets those requirements, and it's up to us to deliberate and decide whether they have met those requirements. What they have done is they have liaised with the police extensively, and like Ms. Hill said, they brought down their alcohol by volume, lower than many of the local off licenses. They won't be selling singles. I can see in your shop that you sell singles, so they've consulted with the police with upholding the licensing objectives, and Mr. Sunny has spoken about his past experience. So I just wanted to make that point, that we, as the licensing committee, have to uphold policy which is set out by law.
Thank you, Councillor Kelly. Councillor Sumner, do you have anything to add?
I don't, thank you, Chair, but thank you for asking.
Okay, so has everybody finished what they wanted to say? Ms. Hills, have you finished?
Yes, thank you, Chair. That concludes my
Okay, so now the committee now will retire, and we will return. Now the time now is 10 to 11. The committee will retire and resume back with an answer within half an hour, so 11:20. We may take longer, and if we do, you'll be informed. Then following the decision, a written decision will be given within 5 days. So we should now retire.